On the night of September 3rd, 2021, 24-year-old Brianna Collins called 911 from inside her locked bathroom. She was whispering. She was terrified. And she told the operator exactly what was happening. A man had broken into her home and was moving through the hallway toward her. The operator's response? "Ma'am, I'm going to need you to speak up. I can't hear you properly." Brianna whispered louder. "Please, he's right outside the door." The line went silent. The operator had placed her on hold. 3 minutes later, the call disconnected. Brianna Collins was never able to call again. Brianna was a nursing assistant living alone in a small apartment in Memphis, Tennessee. Her neighbors described her as quiet, hardworking, and responsible. She worked double shifts at the local hospital 3 times a week and spent her evenings studying for her nursing board exams. She had no known enemies, no troubled relationships, no history of violence in her life. But on that September night, something had changed. Her neighbor, an elderly woman named Mrs. Patricia Hayes, later told investigators that she had heard loud banging coming from Brianna's apartment around 11 p.m. She assumed it was the television. She went back to sleep. Nobody called for help. Nobody checked. The next morning, Brianna did not show up for her shift. Her supervisor called her phone 14 times. No answer. By noon, a welfare check was requested. When officers arrived at her apartment, the door was unlocked. The lights were on, and Brianna's phone was lying on the bathroom floor, the screen still showing the disconnected 911 call from the night before. Detectives immediately pulled the 911 call records. What they found sparked outrage across the entire Memphis Police Department. The call had lasted 4 minutes and 17 seconds. In that time, Brianna had clearly stated her address, described the intruder, and begged for help. The operator had asked her to speak louder twice, and then, without explanation, placed her hold during an active emergency call. The hold lasted 1 minute and 42 seconds. When the operator returned, Brianna was no longer responding. The operator waited 8 seconds, then disconnected the call. No unit was dispatched. No follow-up call was made. No supervisor was notified. The operator simply moved on to the next call in the queue. Investigators also found that the 911 center had been critically understaffed that night, operating with only 4 operators instead of the required 12. Complaints about the center's response times had been filed 17 times in the previous year alone. Every single complaint had been marked as reviewed and resolved, without any action taken. The system had failed Brianna long before that phone call was ever made. 3 days into the investigation, surveillance footage from a gas station 2 blocks away captured something critical. A man, later identified as 31-year-old Marcus Webb, was seen purchasing zip ties, duct tape, and latex gloves at 9:47 p.m. on the night of the incident. He paid in cash. He kept his head down. Marcus Webb had a prior criminal record. He had served 4 years for aggravated assault and had been released just 7 months before Brianna's death. His parole officer later confirmed that Webb had missed 3 consecutive check-ins and no action had been taken. When detectives brought Webb in for questioning, he initially denied everything. But forensic evidence collected from Brianna's apartment told a different story. Webb's fingerprints were found on the bathroom doorframe. His DNA was recovered from the scene. He was arrested and charged with first-degree murder. But here is what makes this case truly haunting. Forensic analysts determined that Brianna had been alive inside that bathroom for nearly 11 minutes after the 911 call disconnected. 11 minutes. More than enough time for officers to have arrived if the call had been handled correctly. The 911 operator was placed on administrative leave, pending investigation. To this date, no criminal charges have been filed against the operator. Marcus Webb was convicted of first-degree murder in March 2023. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Brianna's mother, Sandra Collins, has since filed a civil lawsuit against the city of Memphis and the 911 dispatch center. In her statement to the court, she said, "My daughter did everything right. She locked the door. She called for help. She stayed quiet so he wouldn't find her. The system was the only thing that failed her." In the United States, 911 operator negligence is one of the most underreported issues in public safety. Hundreds of cases every year involve delayed responses, mishandled calls, or operators who simply were not trained to handle high-pressure emergencies. Brianna Collins was 24 years old. She wanted to be a registered nurse. She wanted to help people. She deserved better. This has been the Dark Truth Files. If this story moved you, share it, because some stories deserve to be heard by everyone. Stay safe, trust your instincts, and never stop fighting for justice.